We do a webinar series where we get experts to come on and talk with me about sort of various topics. The last one of those, we had 2,500 registrations for that webinar, over sort of 1,200 people.
Do you want to impact the world and still turn a profit? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Growth Everywhere. This is the show where you'll find real conversations with real entrepreneurs. They'll share everything from their biggest struggle to the exact strategies they use on a daily basis. So if you're ready for a value-packed interview, listen on. Here's your host, Eric Siu.
Before we jump into today's interview, if you guys could leave a review and a rating and also subscribe as well, that would be a huge help to the podcast. So if you actually enjoy the content and you'd like to hear more of it, please support us by leaving us a review and subscribe to the podcast as well. Thanks so much. Okay, everyone. Today we have Myles Anderson, who's the founder and CEO of BrightLocal, which is an all-in-one reporting platform for local SEO. Myles, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, Eric. Very good. Glad that we can get to speak. A bit of a time difference between the UK and the West Coast, but going well today.
Great. Happy to have you here. So why don't you give us a little bit, tell us your story, man.
Yeah, so I run BrightLocal. I run it with my partner, who is our CTO. I'm the CEO. I look after, obviously, other sort of departments kind of away from the kind of technology side of things. We started back in 2009. We worked together at a previous business, which has all to do with local directories and bringing that into a large kind of commercial radio group in the UK. And then we both decided we wanted to do something different. Talked for a while about what that might be, what kind of businesses we might serve. We started BrightLocal. We actually started life as a search agency, kind of providing search services to local businesses. Hit a few ceilings in terms of our kind of growth, and also we also had a passion for developing kind of a software product. My business partner, being a long in the tooth developer, wanted to kind of go down that route, and so we looked around at where an opportunity might exist. We tried a couple of things that turned out to be kind of red herrings. We pivoted away from it, and we ended up settling on essentially a local analytics, local reporting platform, which is what BrightLocal has kind of grown into. And yeah, we've kind of grown steadily since 2009, very much in a kind of bootstrap way. We've never taken any outside investment, so we're all kind of homegrown, organic. Brick by brick, we kind of built the business up. We're based in Brighton in the UK. We've got offices in Kiev where we do our web development. We've got a big offshore team based in the Philippines as well. And we also have some boots on the ground in various parts of the US. We're about 120 people across all locations, serving around 3,500 customers, mainly SEO experts, marketeers, either in agencies or in large multi-location businesses or out on their own working as freelancers.
Wonderful. So Kiev, we got to talk about that later too, maybe separately, because I'll be there maybe twice this year.
Okay.
Just to talk about having, developers there, because I heard that everything's amazing. Actually, as a matter of fact, just sidebar, my friend, his company does, I think they have like over 1,000 employees. They do like 131 million a year. And he's like, yeah, you got to get the developers from Kiev. They're really good. These are like Google tier kind of developers. So keen to get your thoughts. Are your developers Google tier, the ones that are based in Kiev?
Hard for me to kind of to say what kind of Google tier is, but I find them great. We go over about 3 times a year. We've got about 20 people in our team now, front end, back end, kind of QAs, as well as kind of infrastructure. They work really hard. They're problem solvers, lateral thinkers. They come up with the solutions to the kind of business need. So we give them a lot of kind of latitude in which to work. And they always do a good job, And then when you go to meet them, they're also a nice bunch of people as well. I mean, they've been through a rough time, obviously with like essentially the Russian invasion, following on from their own revolution. So it hasn't been an easy period of time. But yeah, I think they're great, and I think it's a wonderful city to go to, Kiev. I haven't spent much time outside of it in the Ukraine, but I enjoy going there, and I'm going there in about 10 days. So I'm looking forward to that.
Love it. Okay. Well, tell us more about the business. I mean, how do you guys make money? How do you guys charge too?
Yeah, so we essentially, we're a B2B solution. We're not enterprise, so we're targeting SMBs, and our platform is a subscription platform. So users come along, they get a free trial. If they like it, they sort of sign up for the kind of paying solution, and then they pay on a month-to-month basis. So we're very kind of sort of flexible and open in terms of we don't lock them into kind of annual contracts. You pay up front, but it's only kind of for a month. And essentially, our success we live and die by how good we are. If we do a shoddy job, people don't like the platform, they leave. If we do a great job, they stay with us. They stay with us kind of long term. Typical customers are kind of marketing agencies that serve either local businesses or kind of multi-location local businesses, kind of regional businesses, up to kind of franchises and brands. 3,500 customers. The majority of those pay us every month on a kind of standard plan, but we also serve some much larger kind of enterprise scale businesses because the platform is quite flexible. We can put a lot more volume through it if volume is something that a particular kind of customer needs. So it's a subscription SME B2B platform.
So when you say standard pricing, I mean, how much is the standard pricing, I guess, per customer?
A typical customer, we extract about $100 a month out of a typical customer across a range of things they might buy from us.
Got it. Okay. So I think I guess being a little conservative here, you guys are probably, if I break out the numbers and add in, enterprise as well, it's probably close to, $500K or so a month at least.
Yeah, it's around that. It's around that mark.
Got it. Okay, great. So, I mean, what other numbers can you share around the business? Growth rates, anything like that you're proud to share?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been profitable since 2012. And, the plan has always just been to reinvest that profit. So we reinvested heavily. Even back in 2012, we probably had 5 full-time staff and, a lot of sort of freelance part-time sort of developers. We're now up to 120 full-time staff across all locations. Okay, we've never had outside investments. So a lot of it is just basically reinvesting that profit, month after month to kind of grow the teams, to allow us to scale the technology as well as, sort of scale that on the sort of people side support, et cetera. So being profitable since 2012. Last year, we added about, I think we grew revenue-wise around 60%. So it was a kind of great year for us last year. I'd say we kind of grown on average around 30%, 30% on average if you take it from 2012 to 2017.
Wonderful. And so when you say, invest back into business, are you literally just pouring all the profits back in and just doubling down? I mean, and so it sounds like you did it for 3 years or maybe even longer than that?
Yeah, I mean, we always do it. Yeah, I mean, we don't necessarily spend it all. We kind of, we're kind of growing at what I would say a cautious, relatively cautious rate because, we've tried to kind of, invest in, additional kind of development teams. But with that additional sort of firepower, there comes, the need to have a lot more on the kind of product management side and the design side. And actually we found that our ability to deliver new features didn't kind of increase in a linear fashion. We suddenly, by adding in a third team, we couldn't suddenly deliver a lot more stuff. We actually found that it made it harder to kind of manage it. So, we always kind of, we're kind of cautiously adding new staff as and when we need. We've added a lot to our marketing team this year, a lot to our kind of customer service. We've got a customer service team of 10 people now, which is probably doubled in the last year. So it's always looking at where are the bottlenecks in the business, where do we want to make that investment? As a SaaS platform, our biggest cost is people. People are, the biggest cost center by a long way. So it's always looking about where we're not either delivering the highest level of kind of customer service that we can do. Let's look to kind of increase the headcount there. If we think actually, we want to spin off the business into a different area, we want to bring online, a different sort of feature set. Does that warrant, bringing on a different sort of development team? I think headcount we probably grew by about 20 people last year in headcount, which is probably around 20% in numbers.
So before we go any further, I just wanted to tell you about a problem that entrepreneurs have been coming to me with. They don't know what they need to do next to grow their business, or they don't have the right resources to execute on marketing needs. Oftentimes, they don't have a marketing strategy, or they don't know who or what to hire for. If this sounds like something that you've been dealing with, I have a solution for you. Single Grain is a growth marketing agency ran by yours truly that has worked with venture-backed startups to Fortune 500 companies to help solve their marketing issues. Our strong points are in SEO and paid advertising, and if you need help in other areas, we're always happy to tap into our network of highly vetted vendors that we can even help manage for you. So there's no need to stress yourself out trying to find the right people for the job because we've got you covered. So if you're interested in this, just go to growtheverywhere.com/help to get more information. Once again, that's growtheverywhere.com/help. Wonderful. Okay. Well, I guess another question is, so how many people, you said 120 people, how many are in Kiev? How many are in the UK? And then I guess, how are you distributed?
Yeah. So we've got about 20 in Kiev, about 15 in the UK, about 3 in the US, and the rest are over in our offshore office in the Philippines.
Got it. And so how do you manage all of that? How do you keep the glue together? How do you keep the house together, I guess?
the lucky thing is we've kind of grown with this sort of format. So we've had developers in Kiev since 2011, and we've had teams in the Philippines since around 2010. And so we've just basically kind of grown that sort of steadily each year. So it's not like we brought online a team of 20 in the Ukraine and had to establish all our relationships and all our processes from scratch. We've essentially just built out those processes as we've kind of built out the team. So, we use Hangouts a lot. We use Slack an awful lot to kind of communicate. A lot of the teams are quite sort of self-managing, actually. So a lot of it is just kind of project updates. I mean, we do kind of standard kind of daily stand-ups with this sort of development team. And then we do kind of weekly catch-ups to kind of get a more of a kind of, top-level sort of project delivery sort of overview. The team in the Philippines is relatively sort of self-managing. So we have kind of, sort of three meetings a week with the management sort of team over there, all over Slack or Hangout.
Got it. And so how do you, let's say you're looking for people in the Philippines or even in Kiev. I mean, how do you source this talent, and do you run them through any kind of assessments? I guess, what's your process for especially people that you haven't met before?
Yeah, I mean, it's all done locally. So we're bringing on new developers, then they're interviewed by the two or three of the development managers over in the Ukraine. We recruit through various websites and through kind of agencies, depending on the skill set that we're looking to bring in. In the Philippines, again, it's recruitment locally, and everyone is kind of reviewed and vetted over there. More often than not, we've recruited through known networks, so people who know other people kind of bring them in, or through universities that we've established kind of relationships with.
Got it. And when you say various websites that you're using, is there anything that you can speak highly of?
Oh, I mean, I actually don't know the names. I don't do the recruitment that would be in the Ukraine. I mean, in the UK, we use a bunch of sort of websites. There's a great one for the local area that we're based in called Brighton, called Wired Sussex. There's a very big kind of marketing tech community down in Brighton. So we use that as a sort of primary source. But in the Ukraine, we've got sort of two or three agents that we use, as well as a couple of websites. But I couldn't tell you the names of them.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, tell us, what's working for you? What's working really well for you in terms of customer acquisition today?
Yeah, so a lot of all our acquisition is inbound. So we don't have any salespeople in the organization. It's all kind of essentially kind of marketing generated leads, bringing people into a funnel. A lot of it is self-serve, so people will sign up for a free trial and then they'll convert. But we also look to lead nurture people that we think are higher value customers or kind of best fit customers. And so the customer success team will reach out to them, get them on a demo, get them on a kind of 30-minute kind of one-to-one call and talk them through the platform. So a lot of it is brought in through our in-house marketing activities. A lot of that is kind of content-based. So we've always produced a lot of kind of thought leadership content. We do a lot of research pieces about what's going on in the sort of search industry. We do a big study into how consumers are interacting with online reviews. Called the Local Consumer Review Study. We've been doing that for probably 6 years in a row, and that gets a huge amount of traction, a huge amount of pickup, both within industry press, but also because kind of online reputation and reviews and how that impacts purchasing decisions has a slightly kind of wider interest area. So been picked up by places like the Guardian newspaper, the BBC, CNN. So larger kind of sort of mainstream news organizations have kind of picked that up, and we've just been kind of layering on top of our kind of content strategy for a long time. We do a webinar series where we get experts to come on and talk with me about sort of various topics. The last one of those, we had 2,500 registrations for that webinar. Over sort of 1,200 people turned up. So really good numbers. But it's been over time. It's been very much about building the brand through building authority content, proving to our customers that we know a lot about kind of digital marketing and SEO in particular, and also providing them with information they can use in their jobs. So providing them with information that allows them to benchmark how they're doing as a business against their competitors. So we do an industry survey that looks at everything from income, how people are charging, is it on a retainer, is it on a project basis, and then also how does that differ for small agencies, big agencies, and freelancers. And then that's quite useful for our customers because they can therefore benchmark themselves to see if they're earning the same amount of income per customer per month as others in the industry. And also allows them to identify maybe different strategy options in terms of different sort of solutions and products that others are selling that maybe they're not, that they might bring into their kind of product set. So we try to look at how we can produce research and studies that help our customers become more effective at what they do, or things that allow them to sell better. So our consumer review study, for example, lots of great stats in there about how consumers are using online reviews to find local businesses and also determine which local business to end up using. They can then take that data onto their customers and saying, you really should be doing reputation management, and here are some really great supporting stats to kind of back that up. And that's proved very popular. So, as well as providing a tool set that customers can use to essentially kind of run local reports and understand local performance, we're giving them data that allows them to improve their own businesses. And that rubs off nicely on our brand. That gets shared a lot of word of mouth, and that bring customers in. I mean, we do also do some PPC as well. It's really the only kind of paid channel that we use, but we spend less than $5,000 a month on PPC.
So let's say, I opt into your industry report and, I'm your ideal customer. What does that funnel look like? How does your team decide, I guess, how does that sequence look? So just so people have an idea of how they might be able to work that out for themselves. Yeah,
all our content is freely accessible on the website, so we don't lock any content behind kind of email forms or kind of contact forms. Our philosophy is we want kind of Google to have full access to that content, so that kind of benefits our kind of organic ranking. Our organic traffic grew about 90% last year. So we saw a huge success in kind of growing our organic traffic. And also, we're here to serve our customers. We're here to be useful to them. And so by essentially forcing staff to be behind logins, I think that kind of goes against our mission to serve.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. So tell us about one big struggle you faced while growing this business.
Yeah, and I was having to think about this as one of the things that sort of might pop up. I mean, in the very early days, before we essentially stumbled upon what is BrightLocal today, we very nearly built kind of a CRM system for SMBs, which at that time, this is back in kind of 2008. There were obviously a few around, but we thought we could kind of do it better. And that was actually my first foray, having worked in-house within organizations, getting paid a salary. This is my sort of first foray into kind of entrepreneurship. And we went through a whole kind of very, very detailed sort of product specification, getting detailed designs down and really kind of thinking about the kind of usability. And then we essentially handed that sort of specification off to actually a development house somewhere in Russia. And, they kind of came back and quoted, and it was basically going to use up all the capital that I'd saved essentially through my sort of savings to put into it. And almost at the 11th hour, we just pulled back from that and thought, hang on, what are we doing? What happens if this goes wrong? How are we going to actually have any money to kind of run this and support this, after the kind of build phase is complete? And so having put all that work in, we just took a couple of steps back and rethought things again, and ended up kind of going with BrightLocal, which I think was probably the biggest near miss that we had, because I think that would have ended up in a world of pain, having gone down that original sort of planned route. So I think that was a case of just being really, being acutely, we almost kind of stumbled into that with our eyes shut, and luckily opened them at the last minute. And I think, as people who are developing sort of products from the kind of ground up, that awareness and alertness to your situation is absolutely critical. You need to be kind of nimble and adaptive, and you need to be prepared to kind of make hard decisions. Having gone through that process of really thinking this product idea through, specifying it, we decided actually we weren't going to go through with it. That was quite a hard decision to make, but absolutely the best decision that I ever have made. In terms of other sort of challenges, when I started the business, I had a young family. I had 2 young kids. So I've now got 4. And, there's a lot of personal challenges kind of thrown in with trying to grow a business at the same time as growing a young family. There's a lot of, the big fear factor in terms of, is this going to be something that grows big enough to kind of support my family and, give them a lifestyle that I'd like them to have. And so there's a lot of sort of personal challenges on that side of things. But also as an entrepreneur in a bootstrapped business where you haven't got the ability to go and, employ specialists in marketing, specialists on the kind of product side of things, you've got to wear many hats. You need to be able to kind of do everything, and you've got to develop those skills on the job. And so you've got to develop them rapidly while keeping the kind of business sort of moving forward. There isn't a lot of comfort time to kind of create, learn these skills, try them out in a kind of safe environment before, unleashing them onto your product. So it requires, quick adaptation, quick development of new skills, ability to turn your hand to almost everything from accounts to, kind of creating wireframes, through to being able to kind of speak to customers on the phone, and a lot of energy kind of needed to it. So, having juggling that, actually when I first started the business, for the first 3 years, I had a full-time job. And my day used to go like this. I used to get up at 6:30 in the morning, get my kids up, give them breakfast, get them ready for school. And then I would go off to my day job at about 8:30. I would leave that at about 6:30, get home about 7:30, have supper with my wife. And then I would work from 9 till about 3 in the morning. And then I'd sleep from 3 till 6:37, get up and go again, rinse and repeat. So I was probably getting about 4 to 5 hours sleep maximum a night for about 3 years until I got to the business to an MRR level that I could basically kind of just ditch the day job, step into that. And,
what MRR was that?
I think it was about 20 grand a month, 25 grand a month. It wasn't a lot, but, we grew slow. We didn't have any money. People always say to me, the success you've had, did you always know you were going to have it? And I would say, no, I actually thought we were going to fail when I started this.
Got it. So you're saying it took 3 years to get to 20K MRR?
Yeah, it did. But, if you think about that time, we had no budget to spend, really. We had no full-time developers. It was